Welcome to Africa's Vision Network. Africa's Vision Network features African cultural awareness, economic empowerment, spirituality, religion, education, and other issues focusing on the African world. I'm Robin Roberts, your host, and an African living in the diaspora. Today we have a guest from Virginia's own George Mason University, Miss Priscilla Forde, a fourth-year student in the Global Affairs and Government and International Politics.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Priscilla.
Thank you.
She's going to discuss her study abroad and something that a lot of our audience, I'm sure, is very interested in, because while many students attend the university, not everybody goes abroad. And we're hoping that Priscilla can give us some insight on how to make the best of that type of experience and why we should even go.
Yeah.
So please tell us about the program that you were in.
Sure. So as you said, I go to George Mason University, and that's actually based in Fairfax. And in 2014, we expanded our campus to South Korea, and it's located in Incheon. And so I just kind of, since I'm a global affairs major, the South Korean campus offers that as a major, as well as a few other. And I took the opportunity to go abroad as an international peer advisor for George Mason University, and then I spent 4 months in Korea.
Okay, so that sounds very interesting. So tell us, of all the places that you could have gone to study abroad, why Korea?
Korea, I just wanted a different type of experience. I had known of other people that had kind of went to like Western Europe or places like that, and I just didn't want to go in kind of like that same type of flow. And plus, I'd already been to Europe, and I just decided that when I studied abroad, I wanted to go somewhere, I would never have thought of. And then the opportunity to study abroad in South Korea just kind of fell in my lap one day, and so I just took the opportunity.
Would you tell us what type of opportunity that was? Studying abroad can be expensive, but I understand in the program that you were in, you were able to kind of diminish some of those expenses because of the way it was set up.
Sure. So with the International Peer Advisor Program, I did receive a stipend from my university, and I also got housing. My housing covers costs covered, and I just, kind of was able to diminish the price of that way.
Okay, so while you were in Korea, you were there working as well as studying, of course.
Yes.
And being a tourist.
Yeah.
So how did you balance the three? That's a lot.
That's interesting. I guess I had been to college, for about, I think it was like 2.5 years already. And so I kind of knew how to do the whole college thing and also have free time. And, I think since the beginning of my college career, I have also worked. So it wasn't that big of a change for me. It was kind of just the same type of work-life balance and school-life balance that I had while I was in America, just over in Korea in another country. So.
And what were the qualifications to even get that kind of position? Because I'm sure that everybody that studies abroad with the George Mason program, they're working also.
Sure. So you mean like the qualifications to be a peer advisor? Or?
Yes, to be a peer advisor.
Sure. So they're looking for somebody with some leadership experience, which I will say I didn't have too much of, but I knew kind of how to maneuver it. And they also were looking for someone, I think, who was like culturally competent and was interested in being culturally competent. And that was something I was definitely interested in, and being a global affairs major, and just being curious about the world. So.
When you say culturally competent, would you explain to the audience what you mean?
Culturally competent, I guess in the way that I'm using it, I mean, just being aware that other cultures are going to be different than yours, and not using that as a setback, but using that as something that you can connect with someone else with, possibly, and just not looking down upon other people, because of cultural differences.
Oh, okay.
And knowing how to maneuver cultural differences, and acknowledging them and kind of embracing them at the same time. So.
And could you tell us what in your background may have made you more susceptible to being culturally competent? Or just some things, you know.
Sure. I mean, I guess I'm just a naturally curious person, so I want to like know more about other people and other people's cultures. And so, being at George Mason, it's a pretty diverse campus, and so I was able to interact with lots of different people, you know, from different places. And I'm very interested in learning about other people's cultures, and I view it more as like something to talk about, something to talk with someone about. Rather than like a setback or something that's gonna, be a nuisance.
And you also said that you studied abroad before. Could you tell us where you studied at? And what were the circumstances of going abroad then? That was just your curiosity, or?
Oh, I hadn't studied abroad before, but I had been to Italy.
Okay.
I went there for about a week when I was in high school, and then I also my family is from Barbados, and so I've been to Barbados before, and then I kind of just took a vacation to the Bahamas one time too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you've been to a few places, yeah. So if when you got ready to, when you found out that you were going to be going to Korea, how did you prepare?
It was interesting because at first, when I first encountered the career opportunity, I wasn't going to go. I wasn't able to go. And then later on, I found out that I was going to be able to go. And so I had about a week to accept my, kind of opportunity, and I did. And then I just had to scramble to get a plane ticket, get my visa, things
Wow.
like that. So.
Okay, so you had about a week. You had about a week to do all that.
Oh
or?
no, I had a week to accept the offer to go.
Okay, and then how much time did you have to get the visa and those things together?
I think about 2 months. So
Okay.
it was,
Okay.
had to get my mind right though.
And by getting your mind right, what did you mean?
Just trying to see what I would be encountering, just preparing myself. I watched a lot of YouTube videos of Black women in Korea and just their experiences and just listened to them. I reached out to a couple of them, to talk just a little bit.
Okay.
And they gave me some good guidance, and it was fun.
You also mentioned in a conversation you and I had earlier that you were invited to some kind of event by a friend of yours who had traveled abroad and was
Yes.
encouraging other African Americans to study
Yes.
abroad. Could you tell us what type of organization that was, or if it was, one?
Yeah, she had actually received a government scholarship to intern abroad in Morocco for the summer, and she hosted an event called Travel Noir, and basically it was just a panel of African American students and just students of color actually in general, who were talking about their travel abroad experiences, and there were different offices from the university just providing information on how you could, study abroad, because a lot of people think that it's something that just costs too much money and they can't do, or it's just unattainable for them, or they never really dream of doing something like that. So it was just kind of one of those events that kind of connected students of color to opportunities, and that's how I got connected to the opportunity to study abroad.
Were there many African American males there as well?
I think there were a few. It was definitely more women at that event than men, but I actually got connected to the opportunity through an African American male. So.
Okay. And when you were in Korea, did you see many African Americans there?
I did not. It's definitely a homogenous country. I'm not sure what percentage of people that live in South Korea are actually of South Korean descent, but I believe it's in the 90s, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but it's a homogenous country, most definitely. So I did not see too many African American males.
Was it, if someone were asking you, what would you suggest they take with them to South Korea if they were going to go?
I would say, depending on the time of year, clothes for the weather. And if you're going in like the fall, sort of winter, definitely have some really warm clothes because it could be, decent outside. But the wind chill will just make it feel like a tundra. But
So I take it it's a little colder than here?
I'm from Virginia, so I would say yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But take that. Definitely take a camera. Just, take some curiosity.
Okay.
It's a fun place to be.
So I understand that the living spaces in Korea are a bit smaller than here in the States, overall. How did you find it to be?
I found it to kind of just be a college dorm room.
Oh, that's right.
It's
Okay.
just, I lived in a college dorm room. I was able to visit someone's studio and studio apartment, and it was, it just was small. Kind of like, I would expect it to be the same size here.
Like an efficiency here or something, or just a small apartment?
Just a small apartment.
Not too much difference.
Right.
When you maneuvered, how was it maneuvering Korea? Now, which city were you staying in again?
I was staying in Incheon.
Okay, and that's in the southern part or northern part? What?
It's in the northern part of South Korea.
Okay. So it's close to Seoul?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's about 35, 40 miles from Seoul.
Oh, okay.
Also, don't quote me on
very
that.
Close.
Yeah.
So was it difficult or easy to maneuver? Did you speak any of the language or read the language?
I was actually taking a Korean class through my university, and it was about 6 hours a week. And so that definitely helped me. My Korean professor definitely made sure that we could, ask the taxi to take us somewhere, or, ask how much something was, ask for a discount, just things like that, just so we wouldn't get into too many, crazy language barriers.
Okay.
Just basic conversational skills.
Was that part of the preparation to go abroad, or you were just taking the Korean course?
I was just taking the course when I got
Okay.
there.
There's a language, I would assume a language requirement is part of your program.
Yes.
Okay. And so you had chosen Korean and...
Yes, I'm taking Korean, and I'm also thinking about French.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, so what were some of the places you visited while you were there?
I frequented the city park that was right in Incheon just because I was a little nervous to venture out even further. And I found out that Seoul is just it's a huge city. It's a huge metropolis, and there's every district kind of is a little bit different. So I definitely ventured into Seoul quite a bit, but I got like a different experience every time I went just because of the way that Seoul is. So.
So the city that you were staying in, what do you call it?
Incheon?
Songdo.
Songdo.
Songdo. What was that like? Is it comparable to here in Northern Virginia, or?
In what way?
The density of the population, the layout of the city. I understand land is a real premium there, so there's like something on every inch.
I would say the density I felt the density more so in Seoul, of course. In Songdo, it wasn't too bad. It was kind of casual density.
Okay.
And it was a lot of where we were staying was like the International Business District, and so there was a lot of construction going on while I was there. While I understand that this construction is now like finished.
Okay.
But while I was there, it was a lot of construction, a lot of cranes, construction, things like that.
And the university the George Mason University in Korea, would you explain how that was arranged? Because I understand there were more universities there, from foreign universities, I guess.
Yeah.
There.
I think, yeah. So basically, we had about 4 or 5 other universities that were also located on the Incheon Global Campus, and so we just kind of shared the campus space with them. So the dormitories were kind of shared between the different universities, and then also we all had our own kind of university buildings. So
You mean each school,
mhm.
each university had
Yeah.
their separate? So, do you some of the other universities that were there? Could you tell us who they were?
Yeah, I think it was SUNY in New York, uh, University of Ghent, or which I believe is from Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
uh, University of Utah,
Mm.
and there was us,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I'm missing another one. So
I think you mentioned a Canadian one before.
Canadian?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It may have been, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a Canadian one. I think the rest were just American.
So, did you see a lot of foreigners there in Korea?
In Seoul, I saw more foreigners than I, thought of.
Now, did you say there was a foreign district or something like that?
Yes.
Now, what is that?
It's basically, I'm not really sure the history of the district, but I just know that it's kind of known as a place where just the foreigners are, where foreigners can go. I definitely saw a lot of United States military in that district when I decided to go out at night. And it was just, I remember one time going out there and I met 11 different people from 11 different countries.
Okay.
And they were speaking English to me, with all their own accents. And it was just kind of like it felt more like a melting pot. I didn't see too many Koreans there, I guess.
In the foreign district.
Right.
Okay. And did you make any friends with, Korean nationals?
Yeah, of course. I have quite a few friends. I still kind of connect with them. They're in Korea, and they'll be coming to George Mason when they come and take their year here.
Oh, nice.
So, but I think I'll be graduated by then. But
Okay.
we can still connect. And
You're gonna
everything.
hook up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then also through the university, the Korean students that took their year, when I came back, we've kind of linked up a few times since.
Okay. So, what are some experiences you might suggest that somebody have if they're going to travel to Korea? You just got to have. Like for example, I understand that Koreans are known to have really good food.
Yes, definitely experience the food. Don't be like I was. I was scared to try anything.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw seaweed in it, I just couldn't bring myself, even though that's, natural for someone to be like, oh, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say definitely try the food, try the different types of food, try the octopus, try,
Okay.
try it. Just don't be like me.
Uh,
I was very nervous to try the food.
Did you overcome any of that while you were there? Or?
Yeah, I tried a Korean dish called ukejang.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not sure what's in it, and I didn't want to ask any. I didn't want to ask any questions on what was in it. So I didn't ask any questions. I just tried it, and I loved it. So it could be like squid or octopus in it, but
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, yeah. Any other experiences or, places that you just must see or?
Must see. I would say must see places. It's a pretty touristy place, but I would say Gyeongbokgung Palace in Seoul is somewhere that you should definitely check out, and then read up on the history of it as well.
Okay.
Just because there's a reason, like the architecture, like there's a reason that it's made that way. There's just so much history behind it, and I believe it's from like the 13th century or either the 1300s or 13th century.
Okay.
And so like it's really historic, and it's been restored. So
Oh, it's been restored.
mhm.
Okay.
It's a really beautiful place.
It maybe met with an earthquake or something?
No, I believe there was something. I believe the Japanese had it had been destroyed by like the Japanese at some point,
Okay.
and then it got restored by the Korean government.
Did you see other people from other Asian countries in Korea?
Yes. We took a trip to the amusement park, Lotte World, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and what is known as like the Korean Thanksgiving, which is called Chuseok. I believe it's either the day before or the day after. It's like if you come with a foreign passport, you can get like a percentage off,
Oh.
and so like we of course went, and we saw lots of different people from different Asian nations, and also like just around the world that were just living in Korea.
Yeah, I forget that there is a Disney World there.
We didn't go to Disney World though.
Okay.
I don't think,
Okay.
actually, I think that might be in Japan.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I could be corrected on that. I understand that Korea is very fashion conscious. A lot of fashionistas
Yes.
there.
I would say so. You can, there's definitely like a few looks that you can just be like, okay, yeah, like that's like noticeably, Korean. But they're very fashionable, at least from my perspective. It was, I know in college here in America, you can just kind of walk to class in sweatpants and your hair tied and just looking a hot mess. But in a Korean classroom, I would feel out of place,
Okay.
in just sweatpants and just
Okay.
not like trying.
So you had to make sure that your wardrobe was up to par.
Or just look like you tried that day. Like,
The-
yeah.
What do you do for recreation there? I understand they like to go to clubs, the youth anyway.
Yeah, the nightlife is definitely pretty lively, and just because of the way that the university, it's just the way that life was set up for us university students. If you went out, you'd probably be out all night, and so you had to be ready for that, like mentally, physically prepared for that. But yeah, it was a great time. It was fun, and it was a lot safer, I'll say, than here. I would say there were many times, even when I just walked to the Central Park, by myself at night, like I didn't feel unsafe in any way.
Oh, so
And whereas I would never do something like that here at all.
yeah, neither would I.
Yeah.
So why do you think it was more safe or it felt safer there?
I'm not sure why I felt safer. I just knew that like there wasn't much like compared to here, like there's not much crime, there's not much, like foolishness going on. So it's just like I just felt a lot safer.
So people can own the night, they can walk around at night and feel, safe.
If that's what you're into, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're not like I wouldn't recommend people just walking around South Korea at night. But like, of course. But I mean, for me, I didn't feel anything. I was like, okay, I'm just going to the park, and I'll just come back.
What about times that you might have felt, lonely? I mean, you said that it's kind of a homogeneous kind of place and not homogeneous looking like you.
Right.
So when things like loneliness come up, or if they did, what do you do?
Yeah. After my first 2 weeks in Korea, I was on Skype a lot with I taught my mother how to use Skype from Korea because I was very lonely. And I Skyped other people as well, like from home all the time. So I did utilize the internet in that way. It was a bit of a struggle because at one point it was a 13-hour, and then I think at another point it was a 14-hour difference in time zone. So
That is big.
yeah, so you have to catch them when they're awake, and they have to catch me when I'm awake and not busy. So.
Yeah, oh God, I didn't know there was that much difference, but I guess it's on the other side of the globe.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other things? What about, here I noticed that, I mean, you're a youthful person, and I noticed that y'all talk on your cell phone so much. Is there a place to do that when you're visiting abroad, like in Korea? Did you do that then?
You mean like talk a lot on my cell phone, use my cell phone a lot? Yeah, there's actually this messenger app called Kakao Talk that they use mostly. I think they may use it more than like actual text messages, and they may use it more than actually like talking on the phone. We'll talk on the phone through Kakao Talk, like not like through your normal cell phone, like how we're used to doing
What
it.
is Kakao Talk? How does it operate?
It's just like a messaging service. So you get someone's user ID, and then you can message them, and you can see if they read it or not. You can also call them. You can video chat. It's just kind of like that.
So so you would do that in Korea still?
Yeah, that was my basic form of communication
Okay.
for people that were in Korea. So.
Okay, okay, as opposed to the people back at the States.
Oh, I mean, I guess I texted them.
Oh, can you just text easily, or you have to get some kind of special
You got to get a
service?
plan.
Yeah.
You got to make sure your plan includes the international texting and calling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did your mom know how to text too, or she
Yeah.
just basically Skype? Okay.
But we just mostly use Skype, I would say.
So had your mom traveled abroad and your dad?
Yeah, she was actually in the Navy, and I know
okay.
for a fact she's been to Saudi Arabia. I'm pretty sure she's traveled to some other places as well. And my father was actually born in Barbados, and he lived in England for part of his life. After some of my family moved up there, so they've been, he's been to Europe before as well. So
Oh, so actually your family has done a lot of traveling. Period. So that's really nothing new for you then.
My mother was a bit nervous for me going to South Korea, because I remember I had just mentioned it to her, like, oh yeah, I might be going to South Korea, and she was like, oh okay, that's cool. And I was like, hey, I'm actually going to South Korea for 4 months, and then she was like, nervous.
Well, I think, maybe a lot of people feel a little bit nervous. Do you feel the presence of North Korea while you were there?
No, it was barely talked about. I remember, except in my, I guess, government classrooms, but that was just kind of like a natural thing. So, I mean, I remember there was like a missile test or something that happened in North Korea while I was there.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard about it. But some of my friends from back home were like, oh my goodness, like, what's going on? And I'm just like, no one has said anything to me about this. Like, I had to go look it up. So it was, but that's not to say that's, for everyone in South Korea, that's how they feel. But that was just my, experience.
When you're in South Korea, can you go close to the border?
Yeah, you can go, you can take a DMZ tour. And I believe you can go to North Korea. But you do have to get a visa. And then you also have to understand that there's no U.S. presence in North Korea. So if you're going, you're taking a really big risk.
And you said a DMZ.
Yeah.
What is that?
Demilitarized zone.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
that's kind of like the border between the two.
And is there any military in the demilitarized zone?
I actually didn't take a trip. I think there may be. I'm not, I didn't get a chance to take a trip up there. When I finally found time, it was time to go. So.
Okay. Okay. And how long were you there for?
4 months. Almost on the dot.
So you went during the cold season, the fall and the winter? Did it snow?
It did not snow while I was there at all.
Does it snow there?
I believe so.
I mean, we didn't have much snow here this year either, so I'm not shocked. But. Okay, and so Korea is a peninsula, it's on the water, so is there a lot of water things, involved in their culture? I would think, do they, like here, they surf a lot and boat a lot and I guess fish a lot and ski a lot in these areas where it's surrounded by water. Did you find that to be the experience there?
I can't say that I did. It may be true, but just the people I interacted with, they weren't,
they
into like water sports or anything like that.
Okay.
And I think we were a bit more inland. I know that there was water close to us, but it's not necessarily as accessible as you may think. At least for me and our campus.
Okay. So in the future, do you have plans to study abroad additionally or go back to Korea again?
I have a lot of different plans for the future. I'm not sure which one I'm going to, capitalize on yet. I did consider, after I learned about the program, teaching English abroad. Because I heard that was a really cool thing to do. So, and it sounded cool to me after I got adjusted to the country more. So,
So you would consider teaching English abroad. And do they particularly want people from the States or, maybe England or something, coming to teach English abroad there, they would, do they prefer that?
Yes, it's I believe it's a government program, and
Mm-hmm.
also like you have to be from a like native um,
Oh,
English
English
speaking
speaking
country.
country. Oh,
So I mean,
okay.
I'm from the United States, so I qualify.
Oh, okay. But you don't have to be like a, I don't know, a certified English teacher.
You have to get a certification, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. In most
Oh,
cases, you do have to get a certification, and in a lot of cases, I think you have to have a bachelor's degree as well. So I did plan to get that certification. It doesn't seem too rigorous. Uh,
you have to get a certification, you mean in English, teaching English.
yeah, to teach English.
But you have a bachelor's degree in whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially.
Okay. And if you did something like that, would you stay a long time, or you think maybe a year or two? Or
I think the commitment is at least a year. I
mm-hmm.
would love to go back to Korea for an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I would plan to stay, a year to just kind of taking a break from the classroom and just having the ability to travel
Mm-hmm.
more. Because being placed in South Korea, you're in the perfect place to go to Japan, pretty cheaply, go to Southeast Asia, other places like that, for at a much less expense than, coming from Washington D.C. and then going.
So, as a foreign national in Korea, can you actually just go into other countries easily, or you don't have to get any kind of special permission?
Yeah, from what I understand,
Oh, okay.
there may be some, other fine print to that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, basically.
And you said you already had your visa when you were getting ready to go?
I had to get my visa before I went. So.
Okay. So, and tell us something about, for people who haven't traveled abroad, tell us about that process. How long does it take to get a visa?
I don't, I don't remember exactly how long it took for me to get the visa. I just know that my personal experience, just because I didn't think about certain things, it was a little bit more stressful. The first time I went, just to go submit the application. I think I went like right before it was closing, so I was like rushing to get there to the South Korean embassy, and I also didn't know where it was. And then I think I actually, yeah, it was just really hectic. And then when I went to go pick up my visa, I went on a Korean holiday, so they weren't there. And I didn't think about that. Like, I didn't think like, oh, like they're not open. So I
Okay.
had to stay an extra night in Washington, D.C. To get my visa because I had already driven up there from
Oh, so where does your family live?
Chesapeake, Virginia.
Oh, Chesapeake. Okay, I'm thinking that you're up here because you're here today, but you're not actually in this area. Okay,
Oh,
I see.
actually, I mean, I just recently moved to Arlington, and I still go to George Mason, so I'm in the area.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, that's right. You are a student, the undergrad student. So you had to go to the embassy to get a visa? And what kind of permission do they give you? What do they want to know when you go?
They want to know what school you're going to. You actually have to get a letter from the school in South Korea in order to go on like I think it's like an educational type of visa. Because I was staying for longer than a certain period of time, and so yeah, they want to know that. They want to know if you're financially stable enough to stay in South Korea. So there's like a certain dollar amount that you have to have in a bank account that you have to show them proof of from your bank account with your name on it that you have the money to stay. So I had to submit that as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you like don't get stranded or something
Right.
like that? Yeah. Oh, so and your university, what did they do? Because I assumed that everything was just arranged through the university, but I see it wasn't. So what does the university do to facilitate your going on their program?
They had a pre-departure orientation. I think, and we had one like specific for Mason, Korea. So we did that. And being an international peer advisor, I also had to go through training. So I took like an extra step through training through some university departments that came together and just kind of like told us, you know.
And you were a peer advisor while you were in Korea for for George Mason University.
Yeah.
So what did you do in that capacity?
Essentially, it was just planning events and just connecting the students with the office. We were kind of like a liaison and events coordinators, and we held floor events, so we were kind of like RAs in that regard.
Okay.
So, yeah, just a lot of different functions.
When you plan the events, you plan the events on campus or out in the city?
On campus.
On campus, okay. And did you have any other responsibilities?
Yeah, we hosted office hours for the students just to make sure, you know, they're doing okay, and if they had any issues or anything, we could try to help them out. Just kind of telling people about like what it's like to be in America at George Mason Fairfax, and I know on a couple occasions I actually got the opportunity to share the similarities and huge differences between Mason Korea and then, you know, George Mason Fairfax.
So you had students from Korean students from Korea coming into your office. Oh, so I thought you were just there for the students that studied abroad, but you were there for the entire student body. And what, sharing your experience also as an American student from George Mason?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so they changed that from semester to semester depending on who's coming to stay for the program. So your program was a semester long. Oh.
I would like to have stayed for a year. I've discovered that I think midway through my trip. But you know, when I first got there, I wasn't kind of feeling it.
Oh, but you had the choice when you started out to go for a year or for a semester, and you decided to go for a semester. Okay. And can you give our audience, especially the students, you know, studying abroad, how do you make sure you have the funds to do something like that? I know it's a little bit more expensive than just a regular semester at the undergraduate level.
I would say look for exchange programs with your school and other schools, because generally those types of programs you just pay your tuition, if you pay tuition at all, to just go and be an exchange student and then study there. And then the other funds that you'll have to take care of would be your housing, and that all like depends on, you know, what country you're going to, what part of the world you're going to, and you got to plan your housing and your food. And like I said, that's, you know, area dependent. And then your plane ticket. So just look for cheap flights if you can.
Now, you were staying in a dorm, right?
Yeah.
And so the food, did they have a cafeteria or did you eat out every day?
I ate out every day, but they did have a cafeteria.
Okay, so they do. And at the cafeteria, do they have standard American fare or do they have Korean food?
They have, I believe, Korean food like every day. They have a different Western dish, and then they have like a global dish.
Oh, okay. So you have a choice.
And I think they also had like pizza and stuff like that, like almost every day. So.
Oh, in Korea, huh?
Yeah.
The restaurants, the food in Korea, when you come off the campus, was it all Korean or did they have other types of food there?
It was mainly Korean, but I did see a few American chains. I did a lot of delivery, and I also ate a lot of Mexican food, ironically, while I was there. So,
you said Mexican?
Yeah.
That is kind of ironic. How did you manage to do that?
On my birthday, actually, my friends took me to this Mexican restaurant, and I ate there like every week after I discovered it. So
it tasted, you know,
it was
good
really
Mexican food?
It was the best Mexican food I've actually ever had.
Run by Koreans?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a surprise to me. I wouldn't think that it was like that. The economy of Korea is pretty robust. You know, I've been told, and from what I read, I understand that 2 days out of the week, the big box stores have to shut down so that the mom and pop stores are the only ones open during that time. I was looking at a vlog, and this is what the person stated. Do you remember anything like that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
If it was a thing, I didn't experience it, but That sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, to give local stores an opportunity to thrive and not have to always compete directly with a large chain. That's kind of impossible. Just the economies of scales don't allow small establishments to do that kind of thing.
Right.
Can you remember anything about Korea that makes you kind of reflect about the way things happen in, say, the United States? Something that was different that you're like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know, better or worse, but just that makes you reflect about how life is here, because everywhere it's not the same.
I would say maybe the respect, the kind of respect that's kind of expected for elders, I think, and just a respect for other people, because I know there are certain things that you do, like just to be respectful. Like when you're buying things, like you move your arms in a certain way when you're giving money and receiving money. And, I think that's, interesting that there's like a certain way that you do that. Just, yeah, the respect system. I know some people complain about it, some people love it, but that's something that definitely made me think. And then also I would say it just made me think of perception. Just because in my specific case, I had some people, had been to Korea or who had either heard about Korea. They kind of tried to tell me like what it was going to be like, but then it was like my actual experience was nothing like.
Oh no!
It was nothing like what they were telling me, even though that's what my expectation was. And so, just the essence of perception is something that I just got to reflect on a lot. When I was going through things, and I was like, wow, this is nothing like what they told me it was going to be like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's a surprise. So, I looked at a lot of vlogs before I, spoke with you, did this interview. So I may not need to take everything like that as absolutely true, or I might not would perceive it that way. Or
yeah, I just feel like it's just difference in perception. Some people may think that something is like really cool, like having pictures taken of you. I know one of my friends is like, oh, she feels like a celebrity when people, all eyes are on her, and like, people are taking pictures, but when you're tired and you're on the metro and then you see somebody sneaking their phone, you're just like, oh, I forgot, I'm a foreigner. Can you not? Like, but, there's other times, there were plenty of times where I just kind of like glanced over it, but there were other times where I just kind of wanted to be invisible, like, or just blend in, kind of like how I do here. I feel like, but I couldn't do it. But there are some times I appreciated it, and then other times where I just wasn't in the mood, and I didn't realize, like, oh, with my personality, there would be sometimes I would not be in the mood. But,
of course.
Yeah.
So people did actually try. I had read that, people try to sneak and take a picture, and because I guess you're just so different than what they're used to. And okay.
Lots of stares, but that's something you can get over, or I got over.
Is there anything that happened in Korea, about Korea, that you were like totally unprepared for? You're like, oh, I had no idea that they had this kind of, custom or something like that.
I think that the language was the biggest thing, because like I said, like a lot of people had told me certain things, and one thing that people told me was, oh, it'll be fine to maneuver around. It'll be okay. Like, you'll be good. It was, at least in the city I was in, it was difficult for me to maneuver if I didn't know any Korean. And so it was until after I had like gone through a few sessions in my Korean class was that I was actually like more comfortable with going, different places and using the metro system and taking taxis. Because, there's just that fear that I'm by myself and I could get lost or something like that. And so for a while, I wasn't comfortable with like using transportation if I wasn't with someone else. Whereas, as I got more comfortable, it was fine.
Okay, so when you took the Korean language, you took that on their campus, actually. You didn't take it on the campus here?
Oh, no. I didn't take it until I actually got to Korea.
Okay.
And it was very useful. to take the language that you're learning in the country that it's spoken in. It's because it's literally, you are literally flooded with it everywhere. And there's not a day that goes by that you don't hear it. You don't hear how to pronounce something. You know, your pronunciation will get a lot better. You know, not to say that it isn't a difficult language, because it is a difficult language to learn. But, you know, if you're there, it's a lot easier to pick up, I think, than in just an American classroom.
Yeah, I can see why that would be true. So you say you don't remember too much of it now. Could you?
Yikes.
Is there a sentence, a simple sentence you could say for us?
I will say annyeonghaseyo. That means hello. Yikes, that's crazy.
Okay.
I guess when you leave, you kind of lose it because it's not in my face all the time. But
Yeah.
There's that.
Not a chance to practice.
Right.
It's not like we're speaking Korean in the United States
Right.
too much, or even have signage like you do for a lot of Spanish.
And another thing, like, I thought about a lot was the fact that, you know, I can go over there and yes, there are signs that are in Korean, in English, in Chinese, and Japanese, and other languages. But like, if they were to come over here, then there's not going to be a sign that also has English and Korean, and
That's for sure.
you know. So that was something I thought about a lot, just the way the world works and just how, you know, we operate, and how sometimes people that come from other countries that come over here kind of have a harder time, just kind of adapting. So it made me a little bit more sensitive to that issue when someone who doesn't speak English as a first language is trying to communicate, just how much effort communication really does take.
Yeah, 'cause I think that is something we take for granted, of course, because we're speaking in our native language and having always traveled to other places. So what other courses did you take while you were in the university besides Korean?
Yeah, so I took Korean, I took Intro to Global Affairs, took International Relations Theory, and Global Conflict Analysis and Resolution.
So those type of courses, that the kind of coursework that you're taking in the future, does it prepare you for, I don't know, policy work in the United States, or?
I would definitely say that's more so with my government international politics major, which I did take, you know, a couple classes over there for that. I think most of my coursework and my most rigorous coursework over there was for my global affairs major. So that's kind of.
And those courses were in English?
All of them were in English. I couldn't take a course in Korean.
That would be a lot, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you're a you're a 4-year student at
Yes.
George Mason. Okay, and so what's the year looking like in this year coming up?
This year is looking pretty great. I have an internship in DC, and I'll also be taking, you know, some more coursework, trying to wrap up everything, and then just like looking at my different options on what I plan on doing. I do plan on finding a teaching English as a second language type of program.
Okay.
So I can, you know, get that certification out the way soon, and, you know, possibly pursue that in the future if that's just how my, you know, graduation year looks. So.
Okay, that's nice to know. So you have some specific plans. And when you decided to go to George Mason, can you tell us why you decided to go there and for the major that you have?
So originally my #1 school was in DC, and I swore I wanted to go there. And then I begged my mother to take me on a visit to George Mason and then also this school. And so she took me up to George Mason, and I just kind of like went around and was like, oh, okay, this is nice, this is a cool school. And then I visited the other school, and I was like, oh my goodness, I just fell in love. But then it was like a few months later when it was time to submit applications, I was just kind of like, okay, I think I miss George Mason a lot more than I miss the other school now, even though the other school is very prestigious and has like more, the tuition is more, so everything, all the facilities look really nice and pretty, and it's just, it looks like a cool experience. But then I realized, you know, like I think I felt more at home at George Mason,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense when I was there. So I
Uh,
chose George Mason.
and George Mason has one of the more diverse campuses. Did you tell
Yes.
me that
Yeah.
earlier? In
So-
the country?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe we were on some sort of list for being pretty diverse. And I would say you can see that diversity when you walk onto the campus.
Yeah, yeah, I would think so. And so, uh, so, so being an international studies major, how has that changed your perspective about, just, life, being here in the country, like when you read the newspaper?
I would say, even tying into my career experience, I would say that just seeing when you're here, the U.S. is the focal point of everything, and when you're here, you don't really feel it. But if
Right.
you go somewhere else, you'll see that there's other people with, you know, like beautiful cultures that the United States is not the center of their everything.
Right.
They'll be critical of the United States quicker than someone maybe from here would be. They, have their own ideas that may be different from an American mentality. And so I guess it's just kind of like when I read things here now, I'm just kind of like, okay, but what does this look like from a global standpoint as opposed to like just, how does this benefit the United States?
Okay. I understand that in terms of the ecology, I understand that Korea is very, ecology conscious place. They do a lot of recycling and all. Can you explain how that operates in Korea and how it might be different than what we see going on here?
At least from my perspective, it was just kind of, I didn't really pay too much attention to it,
Oh,
to be
okay.
honest. Unfortunately, I should pay more attention, but I didn't pay too much attention to it while I was over there. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, there was an opportunity to recycle if you so choose type of thing.
Okay. So, what about, I have to ask, dating in Korea?
Dating, wow.
Did you date or did you have an opportunity to date?
I guess I dated while I was in Korea. It wasn't any, it was just kind of, I wanted to meet people, I can't say that I dated any actual Korean men, but I did like meet up with some foreigners. So.
Okay. Did you use those apps? I know I'm showing my age because I understand that people use dating apps, and I think I've heard my own children mention them. So, did you use those?
Yeah, I use Tinder.
And how does that work? So you meet foreigners in a foreign country. What about stranger danger?
See, that's another thing. Like, I would not use Tinder in the United States, but I mean, I actually didn't get Tinder until I went to Korea.
Oh, okay.
So I just always met in like a really public place, you keep necessary safety precautions. There's always tons of people around. And, I'm going to take the liberty and say I don't think too many people would try something just because, two people who are clearly not from this country, if a situation goes on, like it's going to be, that's going to look really crazy.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's going to be easy to get caught if you try anything. So,
yeah, that's good to know in case. So you use Tinder, and that's a dating app.
Yeah, you can swipe right or left on somebody you'd like to speak with or not.
And when you swipe right or left, what does that mean?
If you swipe right, you're able to talk to them. If you swipe left, then you don't.
Give them the reject?
Right. It's pretty easy, straightforward.
So did any of the people you date, are they from the United States? Might you see them somewhere, walking down the street?
I think one person was from the United States. I probably won't be seeing them. No.
Okay. That's nice to know. So you can kind of dispose of all of that if you don't feel like being bothered or
Right.
it's just not a good match and all that, and just
Yeah.
keep going. I guess that might be a perk to modern dating. I think I like that idea. Is there anything, we're about to come to a close. Is there anything you'd like to share about Korea or about your undergraduate experience that we haven't talked about yet?
I would just say I'm glad I took the road that I did and not just going with the flow and just, taking that study abroad trip to Europe, which is, cool to do as well. But I just knew I would be challenged, and I knew I would be completely out of my comfort zone if I went to Korea. And though that was scary, it was also something that was, that's what made Korea like enticing to me. So I would say definitely follow that instinct and be smart about it and safe about it. So
Okay. And respecting their local cultures, is that what you mean by being smart about it?
yeah, be smart about it. Do your research. I would say be more open to receive as opposed to like imposing yourself in a certain situation. So like be comfortable with like sitting back and taking things in as opposed to always having to be the center, always having to interject and place yourself first. If that makes
Okay,
sense.
so we're about to wrap up, and I understand you have a blog. Can
I
you
do.
tell our audience how to connect with your blog?
Sure. So it's forthewonders.com. You can go to forthewxnderers.com. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Priscilla Ward, for sharing so much information with us. This is Africa's Vision Network, and we want to thank the audience for tuning in, and we certainly hope that you will tune in again for another episode.